just above Pegasus, cautioning us to remember the calamity that had befallen them soon after the same sign.
Yeah.
Yet if Americans would know that the sudden fall or rise of this hand would be a harbinger for the rise of Crux and its little red Messiah.
Sorry guys, if you've been watching this, I had the microphone switched off. I just read all that bio-digital convergence thing. Yeah.
Like the Bible, where it suggests only God the Father has a clue as to when he might be coming, some of the ancients had a clear idea that it would be later this year at the officially posted end of history. Not that it will be the end of the world. The planet will fare just fine with a few billion of us gone. But it is entirely time to remake human civilization. Time to stop watching billionaires play with their toy rockets, cavorting in Venice, or playing racist genocidal games because that's the mandate in their old holy book. My friends tire of me showing people sign after signs.
Oh, this is quite clever, isn't it?
Like the Bible, where it suggests only God the Father has a clue as to when he might be coming, some of the ancients had a clear idea that it would be later this year at the officially posted end of history. Not that it will be the end of the world. The planet will fare just fine with a few billion of us gone. But it is entirely time to remake human civilization. Time to stop watching billionaires play with their toy rockets, cavorting in Venice, or playing racist genocidal games because that's the mandate in their old holy book. My friends tire of me showing people sign after sign suggesting I simply tell you what I believe. Well, here it is. St. Augustine was right when he told us what is now called the Christian religion existed even among the ancients and was not lacking from the beginning of the human race until, quote, Christ came in the flesh, unquote. From that time, true religion, which already existed, began to be called Christian. To me, that is just the most glaring admission that the Catholic Church, purporting to perform the work of the Christ, has been run by the bloodiest bunch of child-abusing genocidal maniacs since the Aztecs were rolling human sacrifices down their pyramids, or the Hebrews started a race war 3,000 years ago. And they weren't the last genocidal religion to bless the planet. 26 millennia ago, our ancestors were painting on cave walls what was happening in the sky, like it was the day's headlines. And they tried to tell us we would find a claw or hand of God just above Pegasus, cautioning us to remember the calamity that had befallen them soon after the same sign. Yet if Americans would know that the sudden fall or rise of this hand would be a harbinger for the rise of Crux and its little red Messiah above northern skies. So the most significant sign of the end of precession is the people of the north get to look at a little patch of sky they were never supposed to see. If you spoke the truth too plainly, you immediately became eligible for torture and execution at the hands of the church, an institution ironically set up.
Oh, guys, that's my TikTok channel.
Like the Bible, where it suggests
that's my TikTok
to remember the cycles of time.
This one here, so Daniel's son. I'm just playing around to see if I could go. I mean, it's quite good actually because I know I can go live and show my screen, which is quite cool. I was trying to see if I could do it for TikTok, but yeah, I had the bloody mute button on. I just read out all this bio. So I was talking about this bio-digital convergence, which is a thing. They spend $2 billion on it. UK government. Basically, they're this is it, transhumanism. they're using it now for gene editing, that. Using it for crops, and they're on about engineering biology, which is basically digital tools for healthcare, basically says here genetic technology, breeding, engineering biology for plants and animals, while regulatory bodies like the Food Standards Agency review frameworks to accelerate innovation in areas like cultivated meat. But yeah, we do know that these lot are hacking our biofields, and they've been doing it since the 90s. This has been going on a long time, and none of us signed up for any of this. Did you? Did you sign up to, have any of this, digital biological information with physical delivery systems to create new medical therapies? Yeah, like spike proteins and pretty much hack away your DNA, and give you bloody like vision of AIDS, to make us sick, and they pretty much are connecting us up to the internet of all. Yeah, that's just examples of this biodigital convergence, which none of us signed up for. 2 billion, I truly believe now that we are, with the graphene and everything else, the nanotechnology, we are literally now antennas for this 6G's the next thing. I suppose we are the 6G, are we? We're the next building block in the sixth generation of technology. I truly believe that. We are antennas now. We are servers. With the smart dust and that that's spraying. Here's the thing. Oh wow! Look at that moon. The moon's so bright, guys. It's so bright. So bright, I can't even get a fix on it. Tycho is up in the east at the moment. Yeah. You see my ugly mug. Want to say hello to Kelly Kim? There she is. Kelly, you on the telly? Sorry. Whizzle. Kelly's on the telly. Sorry, Cal. Embarrass you. She don't care. She don't care. Who we got in the live then? Anyone chatting? So yeah, that's my TikTok channel there. Daniel's son. Doing on there, my messages. I want to leave that meal. Oh, we're going back onto this. Yeah, I just testing this out so I can pretty much we can go and look at some pages where you can't do that on the laptop. Yeah, so we didn't sign up for this. This is what people should be really looking into. This is this ain't good. This is what the jabs are for. Definitely mRNA vaccines, creation of life-saving mRNA vaccine. Yeah. Yeah, right. Life-saving. Like, saved my mother, didn't it? Right. She woke up dead, she went to bed, never woke up. Bloody clot shot. Bless her. She did. She never woke up. And the same with my friend's dad. The same thing went on there. This is how they sell it. Look. This is how they sell it, but really what they're doing is they are to transhumanism, food, chemicals and fuels. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, well, it's in the Bible, isn't it? The Bible. The Bible, that script. It's in the scripture. Something about digital ID, digital convergence, digital ID. Not getting no digital ID from me. Well, how are you guys anyway? You all good? Yeah, so basically, yeah, we are being linked up to the computer. We really are, whether you like it or not. We are being linked up. Crazy as it is. Really crazy shit. I don't know. Oh, look at that. My new tune I bought. That is the new vinyl I just bought. Tim Reaper, a banging tune that. What a tune that is. All 4 tunes are that good. Oh. Tim Reaper. I'm just having a play around. Playing I am. Yeah. We got 4 people in the house. I can't read your message. How do I do that? How do I read messages? Any of you leaving messages? I don't think any of us signed up for this shit. AI and gene editing. 2 billion investment. Yeah, that Sabrina Wallace is the one to have a little look at if you want to look into any of that, because it needs to be looked into, because we are being filled with everything, graphene and everything. And what with all these people getting boosted and having these, I don't know, I don't trust any of it. All these saying, you keep getting texts saying, come in for your any flu jabs. Well, I've never been vaccinated in life. I'm fine, thank you. As long as you eat well, which I haven't been doing lately, I've been really not looking after myself. I just, gone off the bloody rails a bit. I need to start looking after myself a bit more, I think. What's that? I just test. Oh, look, there's me. Hello, me. I could do that. Ah, there's me. Right, so. Hi, how do I off the chain? That's me, messages. Okay. Cool, just testing this, ain't. Yeah. Been on nearly half hour already. What? So who's in the house then? Who's in the house? Let's show you my type channel again, what we got going on the old TikTok channel. Oh. Yeah, look, that's come up there. So look, managed to I don't know how to read, get someone writes a comment. I don't know how it comes up on here. Does it come up on here? I've got 4 people watching. 5 watching now. Hello, 5 of you. I wonder who they are. My phone jammed. Why is it jammed? What goes that way? Not that way. Yeah, check out this picture. It's like my phone's got all funny cow. I don't know. We got that bloody sauce on it. Yeah, it's just jammed, look. What's happened? If I go backwards.
I don't give a damn.
What's happened there?
Because world best Lecky, everyone knows that everyone knows what the rules are anyway. You do your best not to touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Move along. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Don't touch him. That's what he's saying. Don't touch him. Oh, it's me and you, Cal. Why can't I? I was just showing. Oh, at least I can show my screen. It's just my phone's like not responding, Cal. I reckon it's because it's overloaded with.
Ooh, look at that from Lomachenko!
Sorry, guys.
He said, you go back to your corner after that. You're absolutely right. That has been the test.
That's why, because it had the thingies there. Right, yeah. Just wanted to show people what we got going on my channel. Some crazy skies. Yeah, this sort of videos I've been putting up. Crazy skies going on. Wow.
Took a photo of the moon. That's what it should look like. See the roll? It should rise and set like that.
Yeah. Sure.
Took a photo of the moon.
Look at that. Huh. Yeah, so this is what I've been putting up. Yeah. This is true. There. This is true. Some crazy pics. Look at that, 24,000 on that one. 24,000, nearly 25,000 views. Wow. Nearly 25,000, Cal. Nearly 25,000 views on that one. Not bad, eh? No. Oh, yeah, look, this one. You've got to see this one. Let's look at that. Pink. I'd say. I've actually had it like that. That wasn't my picture, but I've actually filmed it outside my yard looking like that. Quite crazy. And we have the arrival of Ra. Where's that video? The arrival of Ra. Oh, this is class. This is class. Yeah. Wait. Yeah. That wasn't an act, was it? Hey, that wasn't an act, was it, eh? Wait. Hey, look. Green screened it, look. I laugh. Yeah, anyway,
That's Britox news. Or should we call it Britoxing? Look at me! Howdy, guys. Today, our people can see that we're faced with a government conspiracy. This government has failed us. Sun is shining.
I don't think
Your mates. Look at this bugger, look.
is it? No, government.
How low that is.
We love this, the government.
Sorry. Happy Saturday, guys.
Wow.
How long will
Long videos. Yeah. That's my TikTok channel. Which I do go live now and again. And that is my name. Right, I'm going to cut this off now. Yeah, none of us signed up for that bio-digital convergence. None of us. It's a thing. Oh, you shared a video with me, Cal. Where is it, that one? Oh yeah, the dog, I got to look at them dog ones, Cal.
British people ejected from their homes so they can be refurbished to put these illegals in breaking into our country. It makes me rage. It makes me want to cry as well. I tell you what, this doing this job, sitting here, hearing all these stories, reading these things day after day after day, it's having a corrosive effect on my mental health. And I never wanted to be one of those, my mental health kind of people, but honestly, it's making me depressed. Today I found out that in Worksop, Nottinghamshire, they've been kicking out lots of vulnerable people, and this lovely lady who helps vulnerable people has now been told she's got to manage all these flats. They've got to redecorate throughout, put the fridges and new bedding and everything in, set up Wi-Fi, Sky TV, and give them £100 on the meters, and these are for all illegal immigrants. I think it's absolutely disgusting what's going on, and I can understand why you get passionate about these things. I feel actually physically like crying out of anger and frustration. I don't know what the answer is. Hang on. They're kicking out vulnerable people and then doing a do-over on the properties for the Migos. They're actually kicking out vulnerable people. If that's the case, Alison, that sniffs to me like a court case. That really has the scent of take that to court, because that is disgusting. I'm disgusted. That is one of the most awful things I've ever heard. It makes me rage. It makes me want to cry as well. I tell you what, this doing this job, sitting here, hearing all these stories, reading these things day after day after day, it's having a corrosive effect on my mental. I remember you saying that fruit is the back door to spirituality. And the reason why is that as you remove the obstructions physically and you bring hydration, you're removing the obstructions to what? The flow of energy. So as you detox all this mucus out and all these proteins and acids out of the body, you start getting an increase of blood, nerve, and lymph flow. These are your main energy flows. And then as you get out of the mind and all the thoughts, now you've got spirit, or prana, whatever you want to call it, that life force flowing through you unobstructed. Because if you want to know, dis-ease is simply an obstruction of the flow of energy, right? Anytime you obstruct the flow of energy, you're going to have an X amount of dis-ease to that. You're going to have some symptom to that. I remember you saying,
That's true. What's this one?
How's your phone work?
This one.
Your cell phone, tell me how it works. This was the other bitchiness that I got from people over and over again. They're like, well, all you're doing is saying, how does your phone work? No, I'm trying to draw your attention to literal tech metrics.
She's got a point. Most people don't know how the remote changes over the channel with the infrared. I mean, I know how it all works, and it's a visible force, isn't it? It's like if you have two opposing magnets and you push them together, you will not push them. Magnets will not touch. No matter how much you push them together, you will feel such a force of it repelling, and it will be a force to be reckoned with. That force will be so powerful. Well, that force is invisible. You can't see it. You can look through to them two magnets and you will just see straight through it. But there'll be a force there, a barrier so strong. And it's just magic, isn't it? That you can't see that force. Okay? It's there, but you can't see it. I mean, this is a lot of people don't know. People go, oh yeah, don't be silly, they can't. They can't put thoughts in your head, or won't be able to mind control you with any of these. But you can't see any of this in the air. You can't see any of these signals coming into your head where you get your consciousness from, because it's just perturbations in the ether. And it's the same with radio signal. We are little receivers, aren't we? All of us little walkie-talkies walking around, and we're receiving some sort of signal from somewhere. Same with our phones. You don't see these signals. You don't see them anywhere. Same with changing the channel over at the telly. You don't see it. Not many people know. I know how it works. I struggle explaining it properly because that's just me. But I know how it works.
I don't know where my phone went. So that you understand how easy it is to log into you and make a change. So, how did we get to this point where all these good people in radio frequency, etc., they don't know shit about what we're actually doing in the human body? And in order to explain all of this, I've had to make a gazillion signs. I've had to come back out here over and over again. And I've been trying to figure out why it is that nobody else seems to know these things. Okay? This is my great uncle's folder from Shepherd Air Force Base. I often also show his Aberdeen Proving Ground stuff. That's my little pink book, wherever it's hiding at the moment. And then I also go over his old notes with flux density notation with mercury and whatnot. Why? So that people understand that this has been going on for a really long time. So tell me how your phone works. When you click a button and you send an email, you don't see the email leave the phone. It's a wireless, invisible signal, just like your body. It's a body part. So when I worked at UW Whitewater, for my job, I found IBM software that they alleged was also used way back when Fauci and them wanted to get their shit off the ground for attacking the human immune system. Well, if you don't know that the human immune system is 80% your biofield, you called it the aura, you called it stupid. Yeah, I know. That's because 6,000 years of human telemetry, chiropractic, and the rest of it for your circulatory system just magically disappeared. Nobody has any idea what's going on. That was 6,000 years of the human circulatory system. You call it chakras. Yeah, they call it aim and fire. 150 years ago, Aleister Crowley and people, nothing's real except what you can see. There is no biofield. There's no cymatics, there's no radionics, there's no plasmonics. There's nothing except what you can see. Well, that's a body part that's responsible for 80% of our immune system. How do we know for sure? The definition in Children's Hospital, the organs and tissues that comprise the immune system, the thymus, the bone marrow, the lymphatic, your vessels, your spleen, and your skin. And so I'm like, the human biofield being watched by Project Salus. So the human biofield is the aura, is your W band, 802.15.6. Department of Defense Directive 3000.09, everything is autonomous. And you have an MQ-9 Reaper drone attached to your skin and bone. That's a big bird for those of you that know. She's huge. And so for me, I'm like, why in the hell do we need something that big? Well, for those of you in radio frequency, yet again, that don't understand that we're playing around with the particulate in the atmosphere and perturbating the human biofield with the Doppler. Okay? And we're not talking about any of that. We're not talking about geoengineering and weather control, and all these systems work together. When I log into your body, I'm looking at multiple manifolds, torus manifolds, and then I'm using mathematics to log into your cell structure with something called biophysics, opto-array, electronic, photonic, moving your cells around with pressure, temperature, and physical biophysics change. Not, oh gee, I'm waving my magic wand. No, I'm logging into your body with radio frequency directly. This is how AI precision healthcare is offered. And I'm going to show you the bigger sign here in a minute. Step 1. Since 2005, any little nerd who could code in Zigbee and Bluetooth for light switches since 2005 is working with these biosensors, K-hop nearest neighbor routing, dynamic channel allocation, thermodynamic routing, right there. You can go look it up. Open shortest path first, body to body. How did I find it? Cybersecurity for the new digital ID in the 6G low personal area network. Machine to machine, no human can crack it or de-encrypt it or encrypt it. And it's ad hoc, vehicular ad hoc or whatever. And then the body is what sends the signal. Now, the moment that I found this mathematically by the metrics, I had a shit fit because I'm like, how in the hell are you using the human body for that? What are you doing? If you're doing that, you're using the aura. And of course, you can imagine, as a natural telepath, having been electronically tortured lifelong for metrics, I'm like, what the fuck is this? You told me, not y'all, but family, professionals, people, oh, energy work is bullshit, the aura's not real, only believe in what you can see, we're going to fix people's health. Well, I was told I had pseudotumor cerebri. Anybody got an autoimmune disorder out there? You ever wondered why they can't fix it? Okay, maybe I should get that other sign back here for a second. Where's your immune system? 80% of your immune system is in that field. Am I able to electronically log into you and change out the cellular homeostasis of your electrical cell structure? And anybody who knows anything about biology, do you shit ham sandwiches? When you go eat your lunch, after you're done eating your lunch, do you shit it out in the same format? No. And why is that? Because we're biochemical beings and we have electricity in our cells. Yeah. But if I hit you with the signal and I decouple your ass from your circadian rhythms by using the ratio, the golden ratio, to uncouple the cellular state. Now, where did I get this from? Tufts University, Dr. Michael Levin. Life extension, synthetic biology, immortality research. It's called regenerative medicine, biomedical tissue engineering, wireless tissue engineering. For that, we have to disassociate your electrical fields, plural. This is called the biofield at the National Institute of Health. And the quantum market share is called the quantum field. In morphogenesis, you heard me, synthetic biology, morphogenesis is called the morphogenetic field. And why? Because it's still all the same damn thing. Your cells at every level exchanging data in your lymphatic system, your tissues. And now they're hacking into that, changing it so that they can get transhumanism, synthetic biology, life extension. Where the fuck is everyone else? Why are they doing that? If they're going to work and they're working on it, why are they telling you it's not real? Well, I'm going to show you. It's very simple. I went ahead because I was so angry, and when I get mad, I do research, and then I force myself to take a breath, go outside with a bow staff if I'm really pissed off, and come back to Zen. Self-control. Make a list. And I'm like, okay, wait. So if I go to work for Command and Control C4ISR, CyberNet and NIBRNet back into the NSA, DNA steganography with the NSA, and we watch every synaptic exchange at 5,100 bits and log it with the NSA PRISM program. That's what Assange, Snowden, and all of them were talking about. That's why they killed Barnaby Jack, the ATM jackpotter. He was there at DEF CON to present that it was easier to hack a human body with a pacemaker or otherwise. You didn't need to have a pacemaker than it was a car. Dead. So with that in mind, I'm like, why can't we talk about this? So I went and found where you can talk about it, because even in the machine learning, you're not allowed to write the word biofield, which I found very weird, okay, because nobody reads that stuff. So then I found out that it is the following. Electronic medical police, warfare divisions, military, your Lockheed, Raytheon, all of them. Advanced signals technology. It's everywhere as a job. In information, surveillance, and reconnaissance, the Internet of Behaviors, Bodies, Things, the Industrial Internet of Things, the Medical Body Area Network, all way back, 2005, 2015. It's all there. And I'm like, these are jobs? Oh, yeah. And then neuromodulation, neural stimulation, Project Salus, watching everybody think in real time with CT2WS, cognitive warfare technology, EEG headset, ultrasound, modified ultrasound, all walking around on a headset. Then the Renius chipset embedded in their left hemisphere. And I'm like, where did all of this come from? Synthetic telepathy, been out there since 1995. So they needed a backbone. Just like back in the day, everybody was logging into email for the first time on dial-up. It would get crowded. People would have to wait forever and get kicked off. I fucking worked it. I would know. So my job was to upgrade them, to bring them out of dial-up and onto cable modems, for which I used a system called NMAPs on comm controllers with something called COM21 cable modems, which were different than the throwaway DOCSIS stuff in the big cities. Different markets. So different hardware. Everything, different software. So I went ahead as I continued to make my little T-bar list, and I'm like, so let me get this straight. If I'm in radio frequency, if I'm in IT, I log into the body, make changes, and organize. If I'm anyone else in the world, I'm a fucking nut job. Give me drugs and make me sit still. And the only place you can really learn about the biofield is in the Bible, because Jesus used it to heal. And I mean, it's ions and electrons. It's your exchange with your environment. That's why everybody works with radar. We're told, get your nuts away from it because it'll overheat you and such. It's microwave. And then they also could feel the radar coming and going without looking at the screen. Yes, because you have an electrical body part involved. So then, as if all that wasn't enough, because I couldn't figure out how is it so obvious to me, but not everyone else, because I admit the body part. Now, entering where I come from. I come from Black projects. So I go back to my grandmother, who was a Rosicrucian in Chicago, has a bunch of depression glass. These are nanolipids. And they would have them stand on a metal plate or whatever. Yeah. And that's your specialized concrete for human teleportation, like you heard out of the mouths of Sean Ryan and other people who he interviewed, the Marines and such, that found the photonic different mixtures of concrete, just like the Roman Colosseum specialized limestone. So this is also another reason why I'm like, oh my God, you guys have been doing this for 100 years plus. Radio frequency, industrial, scientific, and medical band. This is where we got our 2.4 terahertz from, and that's targeted individuals in Havana syndrome as well. 2 radio frequency sinks, one over the heart, one over the bladder. Illegal as fuck, putting RFID chips in people since the 60s, with John von Neumann software and architecture. Why and how? So the first line I ever did, I had to destroy because the Pentagon was so pissed at me. And I said, I know why you've done this, because you did it for wireless tissue engineering, which is what's his name is up there with Palpatine, also known as Klaus Schwab, talking about all the time, okay? So your body is 802.15.6. You're a wide body area network. We fly a drone with sensors, open system architecture, and modified open system approach. We can slap any hardware on the ass end of it. We can log into it with a web portal. We fly it over your home. Now, people who think that Snyder and Tokamak are demon portals are a bit confused. Big fucking magnet under your feet could be the baseboard carrier signal to your cable company or baseline satellite, and we create an electromagnetic field above your head and below your feet. Now, your biofield, your whole fucking body, is inside of 802.15.6. The biosensors are individually accessible with CISA MyTinyOS cybersecurity on 802.15.4. Your wireless sensor networks create radio frequency relays and anything that they need to perturbate cell structure on 802.15.5. And before you say, well, what the hell do they need all that for? Precision artificial intelligence, wireless healthcare. So we break out the internal organs and divide it up, and that's how we're able to make the genetic change if we want to with the CRISPR-Cas9 infusion, which I'll show on a sign here in a moment. Or we can just go ahead and terahertz to gigahertz, gigahertz to terahertz, and exchange out your cell structure. Oh, but they need to practice that. They already did. So what they did was they lied. So first you see a UFO, they radiate your body part known as the biofield. Then you start getting psychic abilities. They're called psionics. Telepathy, empathy, precognition, telekinetics. It's all natural in human bodies. Neurons. And neurons are not only in your brain, they are body-wide. Nobody knows any of that. You're not allowed to talk about any of that. So instead you're told you're a fucking job, take drugs, or else you can't talk to anybody who's normal. The Christians will scare the shit out of you, call you evil. The people that want to wear robes, bleed on the floor, and do stupid shit with the CIA, thinking that they're surfing the astral plane, they end up on the Cisco back plane. And you're like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Well, they're pulling the neurons out of your body just a little bit at a time and loading them into a neuromorphic chipset. How do you think they got such incredible artificial intelligence in the first fucking place? It's your neurons. And they admit they need living neurons to do what they do. Now, this is where a bunch of people get fucked up with me. And they're like, oh, Sabrina, you're being a doom pillar, blah, blah, blah. There's no way they would pull our neurons out of our body, store them in a chipset, and then take our skin and bone, do what they wanted to with it, lock us underground, and then when we think we're being born, they're putting us back into another body somewhere. And everyone goes, ah! And I'm like, listen, the dimension that we live in, they lied to you about how it works with material physics. You think people are going to burn in fire and brimstone, and this is the part of things you can take it or leave it. But what I saw was that people go into a neuromorphic chipset. It's a plasmonic architecture underground. And that makes sense to me because that's one of the reasons so many people throw it with the system that recycles itself. It's not some big secret. These are jobs. So the wireless body area network, you're sitting there, they fly over, you get radiated, you start having psionic abilities, and they continue to perturbate your biofield. They watch your dreams, they record your dreams, and they record everything you're thinking in real time to databases that are using the ubiquitous and the ambient air molecules all around you. Again, well-minded, or I should say healthy people, they're like, that's way too much micromanagement. Yeah, but if you didn't have a body, and you had no way to have a body, and you're running the world and you're obsessed with control, okay? The next thing is if you get a little too radiated and your bionomics, your bioinformatics fall out of place or you fall into a liminal space, we can then morph you again with genomics and morphology, transhumanism full on, and turn you into Bigfoot and Wolfman and whatever else. And you can be bilocated, and there's 4D skiffs that they can walk into to be secure from bioweapons. That all sounds nuts. I know. Everybody's like, no, the aliens are here. And I said, no, we make the aliens. And everybody continued to freak out on me. And I'm like, listen, the HemiSync thing, the CIA gateway process, that was you people feeding the databases. You're bleeding over the masters for DNA synchronicity and DNA sequence matching. That's your global information grid for your digital twin. And your string theory is bullshit. But we do have a 4D. There's no multiverse. There's just the Nephilim and everybody else. For me, I'm like, how is it that you're not telling anybody that you've got their ass on the cloud with 80% of their immune system locked down? Transcranial magnetic stimulation was what they were doing to me, but they told me I had pseudotumor cerebri. Back in the 90s, they said when you could feel the subtle electrocution, there was no such thing back then as electrosensitive because they didn't tell anybody they were subtly electrocuting people. They said, no, you have fibromyalgia, you're just a wuss to pain. No, you don't. You have pseudotumor cerebri, fake brain tumor. Your brain is acting like it has a tumor, but we don't know why. Well, because you're transcranially magnetically stimulating my brain to swell it and deswell it for metrics testing for non-invasive N3 with DARPA. That's fucking why. And I have a seraphim, and I was removed from the N3 process, which is MPD and DID. You just put an EEG overlay of personality, just a nanolobotomy, a few neurons at a time, and then we can induce your neurons into an alpha state. When we do that, it causes schizophrenia, but only in certain neural networks. And we use that back in the day in the 80s and 90s to check parity for neuron, and brain, brain. Now those products and services are commercial. They are available from the Artificial Intelligence Symposium that you can still go read the transcripts for from September 2020. And that's synthetic telepathy and synchron and brain-to-brain interface, which is, in my opinion, why they needed to hurry up and get the newest backbone deployed, because not enough people New, of course, because it's their personal private system of walking circles around all the good people who are doing their jobs legally. And none of this has legal oversight. All of it is black projects hidden. So that's why I keep getting pissed at people who claim they're going to sue people. I'm like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. You either don't know what you're talking about or you're purposely swindling people out of good money because you're not suing anybody. I'm looking for my synthetic biology site. Anyways, so after having all your autoimmune disorders that never go away, I wanted to know, how the fuck did they do this? Well, back in the day with all these companies that they have with IBM, Fairlongen, and Underground, they just kept going to work. Nobody said a fucking word. Nobody said a word. Nobody said a word. The quantum systems with the IEEE and all that are on. In 2019, well, come on, let's go turn on the synchron and the brain-to-brain interface on the back end on a bigger system. What do I mean? Quantum computing, we gave the signature reduction force to people in the white vans a job and a pension. I have longer videos to prove that out. Local logistics started hybridizing themselves with transhumanism. In the 90s, you had non-invasive N3, library access, NIST, NASA, and brain-to-brain web portals. 1995 in Congress. You think they knew? Then in 802.15.4 becomes commercial to all the little nerds in 2005. In 2012, Carrie Medane group, they all get together and get told, we're doing this. We're going to be deploying in a few years. So get ready. Shut your fucking mouth about anything related to the biofield, just like they took away all of Dr. Robert Young's work in the last 3 years. And then in 2014, brain-to-brain interface became commercially available. Now, with all that additional traffic, now between themselves and all the different elites and people that have now thrown in to be transhuman and take over the world, do you think they needed a bigger backbone? COVID has its own data center. They need to make sure that they can change out everybody on a button press remotely. That way there's no worrying about you fighting them or getting in their way. Would you believe that's what's written inside the Pentagon directive? Because it is. They're not worried about you being able to pull your gun. They're only worried about unintended engagement and loss of control of their drones. There was interestingly, the Department of Defense Directive 3009 does not refer to positive outcomes as a design criterion. Department of Defense Directive 3009 defines the goal of autonomous systems to avoid negative outcomes, unintended engagement, or experience a loss of control. 2012 for implementation on the 8th of May 2017. And the wide body area network since 1995, and your biosensors since 2005 means nobody got a choice. We have human body or human bonding communication on the RF. Everyone is now a cyborg with soft robotics deployed with the biosensors that are DNA analyte derivative made out of your tissue, talking to satellites on position navigation and timing, NTS-3 accessible, no GPS needed, inside of your body. Your body is the network. Your body is the node. Your DNA is propagating the signal. No tower required. And that's the same system that I was born to in 1979 that they already had because Grandmother Rosicrucian and everybody else have been working on this for a couple hundred years. With databases and underground computers. How do you make Greek fire? Right. So, for me, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Metamaterials? And everybody goes, what's a metamaterial? And I said, well, it's not going to be enough to get it in you with radio frequency due to the line of sight problems and all the other problems that we have with electromagnetic waves and beam forming. And it wasn't enough to have your MAC ID under control with the physical stuff. I don't know. We, for $45 grand a year, sell the ability to log into you to your loved ones so that they can do an EEG overlay and they overwrite your brain tissue. Oh, you're just don't with the crazy thing because people don't really do that to me anymore, and you shouldn't either. So La Quinta La Columna came out and said neuromodulation, neural stimulation, and neural monitoring, and it's excited by the graphene. And everybody goes, oh, and I said, yeah, and radio modulation. And that brings me full circle, radio frequency engineers. How the fuck is it that you don't know that we've had all of these systems going on with the Army, multi-domain sensing system with high accuracy detection exploitation system, patterns of life to develop the target, C4ISR, September 14th. What the hell? How is it that you don't know? Give me a break. How can that be possible? Over and over again, I'm sitting here trying to figure out why it is that none of you will open up and say anything to anybody, given that you guys have to be the ones that know how this is being executed. But it's demonstrated by the questions I keep getting. They're like, what are you talking about? Well, guys, When you get rid of our wireless body part and you tell everybody nothing exists except what they can see, you get rid of frequency, oscillation, cymatics, the power of sound, optics, radionics, and anything plasma derivative. Good fucking job. Because they connected this wireless body part to telephony in 1922, and they've been doing anything they want to ever since. You didn't tell anybody about synthetic telepathy in 1995. You didn't tell anybody about the wide body area network. You didn't tell anybody about the biosensors, so our youth have been biohacking. Now, damn it, Janet, this 1,500-year or 300-year, however long plan, we get Galileo and Copernicus out there, throw them in front and say, here, we're going to science now. We killed everybody with the Spanish Inquisition that could read books. Go. But that only lasted for 200 years, and that was only in private universities that you were allowed to learn. Then they start killing everybody again until they get back to the 1960s. Why does that matter? For those of you that don't understand from radio frequency what Langland's equation is, or the Rosetta Stone of mathematics, that took us to a new type of quantum encryption to break all the bit series old encryption, with the L function and the meromorphic changing out the polaritons and poles on the complex plane of any toroidal field that we wanted to for modification of the electromagnetic stimulation with quantum underground computers in the quantum space. You took away the body part. You got everybody all fucking confused because they think that it doesn't exist. Put the body part back, and it's real simple. They're piloting you around like a sim. No. Yeah, because the Project Looking Glass. Whoa. Yeah, routing radio frequency through the body. 802.15.45 and 6. And then once we line it up with your DNA, well, we have DNA steganography. Did you know that your DNA stores a fuck ton of data for the government? Because it does. Then you have your chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear skiffs that are equally made out of your DNA to protect them from a biofrequency weapon and something called prima materia. Welcome to Project Pandora. I can walk into a liminal space. I can walk into a bioweapon frequency secure skiff. Perfect. Why? Because I'm going to invade the world with my MQ-9 Reapers, pretty fucking magical technology. I showed a picture of a Reaper in 1953. So the medical implant communication system comes online, and we're chipping humans with RFID. The MAC IDs, I was born with one in me in 1979. The HemiSync is the EEG brain connectomes, which is what we use when we're logging in and out because the neuronal loop is closed, says Yonich from machine learning, who I take the synergist to point out you don't need to lie about what a MAC ID is and what it does. It is a medium access control derivative, and the people out there in radio frequency that work with old equipment or don't know about the body area network, they're like, well, how is it changing all the time? Because you're dealing with WSN, which is wireless sensor networks at a very small scale, and they're moving around, and they're talking to each other and recombining themselves. Oh. So Yonich in machine learning, he's got quite a few subscribers, and so does Anastasia on tech. And they talk about all the neuron to neuron, brain to brain I'm talking about. Where are you? Probably watching The Sun, which said in December of 2022, oh yeah, we'll need chips in our head in 2100 before anybody can have telepathy. How convenient. What if you're born with it? Well, they're going to take it away from you. Why would they do that? Well, they have brain imaging libraries like Bill that commit changes with CRISPR-Cas9 to your proteins, your peptides, your amino chains, your amino acids. So who's doing all this? Same people that I always saw: medical, sheriff, police, lawfare, Maine military, paramilitary, black projects, geospatial in Silicon Valley. And why are they doing this? Because they can just log into your ass with Geomancer, determine your location with their lovely little curated data labeling and data curation databases the DoD sold off at the Artificial Intelligence September conference in 2020, symposium rather. Amazing Polly explains in Rwanda how we went down and shot aerosolized nano in the air. But we have to have communication that is secure between certain soldiers. And for that, you're back to the 802.15.6. Modify their biosensors. You can save them from the chemical warfare or the aerosolized by popping different types of bioelectric code and wireless tissue engineering healing. And then the wireless sensor networks can relay on all the other humans that you want to do something different. In the very same way, the spells that we cast on people and save in our spell books over on the GitHub, I have vector or feature values when they go into a vector after they've mapped the coordinate with Geomancer. And those feature values are your Digi-ID. So they could be anything. And what we do is we order a drone, take a picture over your home of real time with the access that we have, and then we can fire up a generative adversarial neural network, an artificial neural network, or whatever we want electrocute the air molecules around your head and execute a terahertz bullet, or whatever we want. And that's with your NTS-3. Again, position, navigation, and timing of your biosensors, 802.15.4. Starting to see how it's kind of a big fucking deal that you laced everyone's ass to the cloud and told them nothing. And then we had, oh, well, you just can't take pain. Oh, it's a fake brain tumor, but we don't know why. Oh, you're having seizures that make your eyes go bloodshot. We don't know why. Lupus, Lou Gehrig's disease, all the autoimmune disorders. Oh, there's nothing we can do. When you electrocute humans through their own tissue and you don't tell them, and you force their immune system to electrically adhere to nanotech or another body in a different electrical way than what your red blood cells and your neurons need to function, you end up with an autoimmune disorder, an automatic immune fucking problem with the order of operation because you're electrocuting them. Yeah, that's what the biosensors do. Oh, so now, because no one said a fucking thing about subtly electrocuting people, there's your nanomorgellons. Cancer's not my story to tell, but they tell you on the Daily Mail, give you cancer, take it away in 15 minutes. They've had that capability since 1995. Now it's sudden adult death syndrome. Fuck you some more, and no accountability for all this testing that they did with the vaccinations at the different age scales. None of it. Not a fucking bit of it. So what did we end up with? Full circle. The 6G low personal area network, your ass is attached to the cloud. The signal is propagating from you, your body, your DNA. Turn off the signal for Ebola killing off your loved ones in front of your face. Stop your DNA. Now that's terrifying. That's some real doom pilling. Yeah, that's cybersecurity. Stop the signal. You have to stop the DNA because the body area network is where the signal is coming from. So it won't go away unless you stop the DNA. So you radio frequency people think you might want to get caught up on a technology from 1995? If that's really the situation that we're in? Because the metamaterials are about to make it transhuman very serious. And I will go ahead and pull up the metamaterial guy again, just for you radio frequency hams and people. I have a lot of respect for you guys. I'm very surprised if you don't know. Now's the time. But just like the dudes on the hobby farms, maybe y'all been hanging out in your basements doing cool stuff like you do with your equipment to do testing. And just like the Baba Black Sheep guys who fly their drones for the good reasons, trying to teach young people how cool it is to build a circuit board yourself and make it communicate. And they've weaponized everything, made it super ugly and very difficult to communicate with anybody about this stuff. And especially now, given that the new warfare technology is electrical, and that means telepathy, empathy, and precognition, which are natural abilities in human neurons, those are now the hot commodity. Nobody understands what's going on because you won't admit that they created a cyber-physical backbone because they needed more throughput. And my sign for that is for some reason missing. So I'll come back with that. Synthetic biology. Please take a look at my synthetic biology videos for the glossary and terms. And thank you for the people using nanowork as a touch point. And I hope that this is the simple explanation that doesn't sound bitchy towards you. I'm just so furious. They didn't tell anybody it's a body part because, as you can see, when you get back down to cybersecurity, turn your DNA off. Guys, who's going to want to hear that? So let's educate. It's the W band. And take your body part back. And then, well, what do I do with it all? Biofield practice? I know you don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. It's your body part. You're the best person to know how it works. And if you knew that precognition and empathy are the two most common neuronal abilities, it's not psychic, it's psionic, which is why my website is Synergy. Psi plus energy equals synergy. As in your own biofield, your own psionic abilities, my own neurons. I don't need a wearable to be a telepath or telekinetic. They purposely practice wireless tissue engineering. That means suppressing your growth, your internal organs, and stunting your brain tissue. No maybes. So if we're actually going to find a way through this, we need people to be honest about what's already been deployed and what is in play with the wide body area network. We can't afford to keep spinning around it, protecting sensor hunters and pretending that it's going to get better. The people that want these systems to change, they're not but murdered for over 20 years. And they want to murder me like every 5 minutes. So now I'm going to go take a walk. God bless y'all out there. I have other videos to load, but I'm loading these first for the people who genuinely ask. Can you please break it down for me as simple as possible? Mark 5:36. Amen. How's your phone work? Your cell phone. Tell me how it works. This was the other bitchiness that I got from people over and over again. They're like, well, all you're doing is saying, how does your phone work? No, I'm trying to draw your attention to literal tech metrics. I don't know where my phone went. So that you...
It is a thing. Something we did not consent to. Anyway, guys, until the next time, I will find me something good to put up and channel it live. Okay. Is there anything good to put up here? What's that?
So many dog owners love to get harnesses.
That's the dog thing again. Yeah.
This is your body, this ice cube. This is God. This looks different because it's in a different form, but it's made from the same source, okay? So when we take this, we put it in here, we give it a little stir. As it melts, it's coming back to what it's always been. And we are...
We are God. We are in World War III, and it's a
All right.
digital.
It is Monday, February 24th, 2025, 3:30 p.m. My name is Cassie Ian Anderson, and welcome back for another edition of Heresiarch. In this edition, we're going to discuss electronic warfare. For this, I pre-recorded a bunch of Sabrina Wallace, and I took some non-vaxxer 420 off the Telegram channel, some audio from him. And we're going to play this, and I'm going to put in my 2 cents as we go along. Let's get started.
EX conversations, it really is as simple as if we have the opportunity to put Lisa McGee, Maria Chrysler, and non-vaxxers, people who've been passing all the white papers to the rest of you.
So what was it on this one? Electronic warfare?
That one was really listen to the podcast. One's an hour and 19 minutes, another one's 30 minutes, I think.
Hey, hi everybody. I'm here with Sabrina Wallace, and we are going... It's there. Hey, hi everybody. I'm here with Sabrina Wallace, and we are going to talk about the biofield. And so welcome, Sabrina. It's great to finally meet you. Like I said, lots of people have been asking for this conversation. They want to get our insights on the biofield and how it's relevant to the world right now. So for people who aren't familiar with your work, can you just tell us a little bit about your area of study, area of interest, what you've been thinking about, working on, formulating, understanding, all that? Actually in the 7th grade. But back then there wasn't any National Institute of Health reference. I worked with nurses primarily, and I got my first level A Healing Touch certificate at a nunnery in La Crosse, Wisconsin. I was taught therapeutic touch first and then healing touch. I always knew how to use my biofield because it's part of your body. It's like saying, I always knew how to use my hands, I realized that a lot of other folks, or maybe not a lot, I hope not a lot, I hope there's more folks now that go, oh, that's what that is. Because the big inspiration was high school. My friends having different things happen going, and I said, you don't need to be afraid. It's just part of your body. And they went, that's what that is, I opened a healing office with a breathwork coach, who actually went and attended Hartwood. And then that was for a very short time. And then, life happens. And I was working as a network engineer for an ISP, Charter Communications, internet service provider. And then more life. But in 2019, I went to the post office and they told us, as a homeowner, you're in the 6G. And I went, what? And so as a networking engineer, I knew where to look, but it took me a bit to understand what I was looking at was really old. That was difficult for me personally. But
Wait, what do you mean by old? Very old? Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. Because when I was younger, I was talking about it. I was asking questions, and everybody just pretended like, if you can't see it, Sabrina, it doesn't exist. And so as I got into body sensor networks, body area networks, wireless sensor networks, that's all electrical or magnetic communication, not just with the skin, under the skin, period. Pacemakers go back to the 1950s, for example, but people have an easier time with that because they go, well, yeah, I put a pacemaker. It's like a little embeddable in my body. That part makes sense. But when I tell them your body emits biophotons naturally, your body is electrical naturally, and they listen to that vibration of your heartbeat or your pulse. And that's your biofield. When I read it out from the NIH today, they explain that the biofields, plural, and I only do quotations because there's several of them. That's the electricity of your heart, EEG of your brain. That's what they used to call the aura. That brought me to like Dr. Becker's work from the 60s with that same IEEE, which is your International Industrial Electrical Engineers, Electrical and Electronics Engineers. And that's when I realized this was in hospitals. This was the sensor systems. They were ubiquitous for very simple things like theft in a store, basic surveillance radar with cameras and more than your Ring camera. And so as a computer networking person, it made total sense to me. Assisted living goes back to 1999 with the medical implant communication system. And so I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it in 2019 and I started asking people, hey, why aren't we talking about this? Because according to what I'm reading, this is our new healthcare, which means we can talk about it again. We can actually communicate. It's right there. It's on the NIH. Woohoo! I was not prepared for the other side of why this anatomy was buried in 1910 with the Flexner report and then pops back up again in 2015. So it's a very long time that they've known. One other thing I want to say quick for anybody who's interested, galvanic skin response and muscle response through the skin, that goes back to the 1700s. And it's in textbooks. I'm not saying like they wrote a note in the margin. Oh, no. When they first tested the telephone, Alexander Graham Bell, they were testing with photonics, visible light communication. Most people don't even know what that is. So we generate biophotons through more than just our bone marrow, and that's still all the biofield. So that's what I've been working on. I've been trying to help folks come out of the darkness of boogada for whatever reason and embrace their own skin, which is your somatoform. I had to bring in a lot of neuroscience too. So that's basically it. I've always been very interested in crystal healing and vibration, resonance. I love music. I love to sing. And that's all part of our health. It's all part of our natural immune system. So to me, it's a lot of fun. But to some folks, especially now with the last 5 years of things, it can be very frightening. And I acknowledge that often, and I advise people, do not be afraid. Believe in yourself. Believe that you are capable. Because you are. It's your own anatomy, like your hands.
Yeah, that's definitely, when I first started doing research for my master's thesis back in 2010, I was sort of astonished at the lack of information on the biofield and on how sound affects us. Like and the fact that that we that we have plasma bodies, that plasma was hidden, that this whole electric aspect of our bodies and our life and the environment had been completely hidden. And I was very surprised about how Robert O. Becker's work wasn't really picked up and carried forward. And traced it back. Obviously, the Flexner Report. I'm always telling people that in the early 1900s, you could buy devices for your electric health from the Sears and Roebuck catalog. Like, there was such an understanding and fascination of the body as electric, and then that was all buried and put underground. And the way that people have been disconnected from their own electric nature and the electric nature of the environment is almost like a spell. It's like people don't get it. They just cannot seem to cross that gap into this understanding and recognition. And because so much of it has been programmed into us as pseudoscience, like the aura is nonsense and all the things that are capable in an electrically connected environment are described as pseudoscientific nonsense. But another thing, Sabrina, that has given me a lot of, I don't know if caution is the right word, but what I observed of these electrical researchers like Robert O. Becker or Valerie Hunt or there's another woman too whose name I can't think of right, Elizabeth Rauscher, who was doing. Are you familiar with Elizabeth Rauscher and her work?
I am.
Yeah, and I met her in person, actually went to her house, and she told us a story about how the Men in Black showed up one day because she was uncovering how the man-made electromagnetic frequencies had a non-beneficial impact on our own electromagnetic self. And so I've been very careful in my choice of words when I talk about the biofield and avoid referencing what is going on out there as nefarious or negative or dangerous to us. And I really work hard myself and to share with others how to make your own biofield strong and sovereign and stay in integrity. So I would imagine that's something that you practice as well. I'm wondering if you have any practices or thoughts or beliefs or things that you hold to keep your own biofield sovereign, if you will.
Well, when it comes to practices, breath work, prayer, singing, my form of meditation is with the help of my yoga swing and my cats. It stretches and joy. Infrasound, a lot of the metrics of the biosignals they pull are your own blood flow, your own heartbeat, pressure, which you can change by your breath. Also, I keep a lot of crystals nearby. I enjoy my stones and their resonance. Kind of feng shui. I have healer bowls, like my brass bowls and such. And the number one thing is, for me, is that joy in the face of adversity is an act of rebellion. When you start talking about this topic, the attention of what we call the Freds, rather than anything else, is intense because this is an engineered system. Even the Men in Black, they're not magical. They use haptic gear. They use equipment that we now call bioelectronics. So my practice is to steer clear of that. Are pretty much, I stay as natural as I can. That's why I mentioned the crystallography and the breath work and exercise, the basics, along with some fasting. But dietary choices, like you mentioned, being cautious about what you say. In my world, I'm very cautious about anything that is medical or, like take this supplement or use this vagal nerve wearable. I try to stay away from that. I will give the information and be very clear that it is a personal decision and that people should always look into it, consult with others they trust that are professional. But that's a huge chunk of protecting me, and my home and my four-leggeds, etc. But the biggest component that I've run into there, as far as strengthening the biofield, has been sound. And sound is on the technical side, is one of the strongest areas they hit first. As far as, when I say hit, I don't mean target and fire. I mean metrics. It's a hop sequence of, they look here, I'll say look, they look here, then they look here, and they combine that information. So if you are already paying attention, that's been the biggest, like you said, it's really difficult for people to understand that it's your parietal lobe, your back here, your somatoform, which is your homunculus, where your nerves are responding, and that when you can work with your biofield and be in that place, like you mentioned, of integrity, it's your cerebral spinal fluid, it's natural, but you got to be there all the time. And people can barely acknowledge it without dealing with like a lot of bullying from other people because they don't understand, or other things. But I like to think on the neutral side, which is they don't know any better or they don't understand. That way there's a possibility for education there and communication. But people have to work with it. They have to figure out, do I like brass bowls? Can I use my tuning forks? How do I manage through the day while you're still taking care of what you need to? And being able to pay attention without feeling like you're always under attack could just be as simple as wavelengths that are coming and going. So I try to help folks. Heart fire up is what I tell them. You need that strongest electromagnetic field at the heart. And when you cranial breathing, essential oils, that's another place I really, really enjoy helping folks explore, because they are often surprised how quickly you can help pain relief by the cranial breathing with things like peppermint oil or frankincense. You got to try different things. It depends on you. But that's what's most important to me, is actual physiological effects that help people buffer in between their daily living. And then heart fire up, because things are always going to be around you that are not in your control. I call that life.
Yeah, I think that the natural part is really key. The more substances that we expose ourselves to that are unnatural food, unnatural scents, just things that aren't in energetic integrity and in resonance with nature, are all destabilizing to our own field. So I'm a big advocate of what I call the small farm diet, of eating whole foods from nearby, because that will give you the greatest amount of strength and resiliency in your electrical system. And obviously I'm right on board with you with the sound piece, because I've spent almost 30 years now exploring how the sound from tuning forks reminds our body of its own integrity, and that the importance of staying in that integrity structurally, emotionally, intellectually, energetically, in the way that we relate with other people, so that as long as we maintain a strong, coherent signal, and that we are continually having touch points to that sense of connectivity to that which is bigger than ourselves, the nature that's bigger than ourselves, then that will be the signal that we tune into. That will be the signal that informs us, as opposed to putting ourselves filled with all kinds of pollutants that degrade our integrity and then make us vulnerable to outside non-beneficial vibrational influences.
Diet, I agree with you completely, is very, very important. And did you say small farm diet?
Yeah.
We have quail here at home, and we sell our quail eggs at our local health food store that has extra, like I said, essential oils and things like that. Your diet and your microbiome, the enteric nervous system, it's a huge chunk of how your hormones, your endocrine system, all of it works together, and that's your phasia. And I know you know all this, but I also advocate for a clean diet, as simple and as free of excess materials, as you said, as possible. The very the challenge, to put it nicely, is that nanotheranostics, nanopharmaceuticals, and nanotechnology, they have put it in the water, the soil, the air, the food. And they didn't start doing that yesterday. We're looking at 30 years of that. And nano.gov, 25 years. And so it's the cleansing, like I mentioned, I don't advocate for any sort of specific protocol or process. I just advocate for you, whoever you are, to advocate for yourself, in that you know what's best for you. And as you said, staying in attenuation with your own cerebral spinal fluid, your own vibration, and with that heart fire of your actual physical heart. It's the middle of, whether you call them chakras, meridians, or whatever you want to call it. It's where your veins and arteries cross, your internal organs. So as you said, you staying coherent, that mind-heart coherence, along with your gut microbiome. That's enteric, parasympathetic, and your primary central nervous system. And it's that awareness that allows, in also, in my opinion, that you can live life in the moment, which is what we're supposed to do anyways. But as we all know, what are you going to do tomorrow? Oh my gosh, what happened yesterday? Versus, hey, what's going on today? I appreciate you. Thank you. We do a lot of gratitude work on the channel as well. When people do a drive-by and they only see clips of me that other people post, they miss all the other work that I do. Apologies, that's my incense. I advocate for, there's that word again, but it's sticking up for ourselves, because this anatomy was hidden. Those of us who stand firm and say, no, I can work with it, let's work together. I'm hopeful that it becomes easier now, as those of us on the channel, and I say we're all part of the band, there are many wonderful people that have also said it's time to talk about this, because you hid the anatomy. You as in the doctors, you as in the nurses, you as in the government, you as in these companies for the new healthcare. So since you're already making money off of it, since it is our new healthcare, it's just anatomical. That means anybody can talk about it, and hopefully it's exploratory instead of frightening. But the most important component is that integrity you spoke of, staying in attenuation, heart, mind, gut coherence.
Yeah. And you know what else sort of comes to mind as you were speaking is that also our energetic alignment with our own vibe tribe, if you will, that we are stronger together. And just like our own biofields are non-local, we do have the ability to connect to other people who are on this wavelength and draw nourishment from that. And I think that is a big part of what has been cleaved, that we have been cleaved energetically apart by the denial of the energy that connects. I know that whenever I go to an in-person event like Confluence, and I'm around people who think like I do, who have the same values, who are committed to this integrity that we're talking about, that I am so nourished by knowing that there are other people who are tuned into the same wavelength, and that we are kind of all tuned into that together, and that we're not alone. And I think so many people who are interested in what we're talking about often feel at odds with their local communities. That so many people have sort of taken the story hook, line, and sinker that this is pseudoscientific nonsense, and that there's this automatic dismissal that happens very often when people start to talk about or explore this level of our anatomy. Like you said, I mean, like it's like your hands. It's just it's there. It's real. It's been described and known about for millennia, and it was intentionally buried. It was very, very, very intentionally buried and hidden from us. So that I think, it seems to me, based on what I've heard you say, based on what I've observed, so that we could be hacked through the back door of it because we don't even know that it exists, and we don't have an awareness of the importance of keeping our electromagnetic membranes